Hi, and welcome. It's Debbie from Debbie's Rusty Brush, and I am a giddy hen. Today we're going to be making some magnets. We're going to be painting roosters onto these 2 3/4 by 2 3/4 canvas boards. Then we're going to seal them using resin so that they have a nice durable cleanable surface. And then we'll put magnets on the back. These are going to be listed in my Etsy store, the Giddy Hen Country Store, and I'm going to make multiples. I like to have more than just one available, so we're going to make 3 of them. So we'll show you the process of painting 3 of them. They won't all look exactly the same because they are hand painted, but they will be the same colors and they'll be very similar. So follow along with me and we'll get started making some magnets. So we've got our canvases here. I've got all my paint out front. I'm using a paper plate as my palette. I do have clean water here to rinse my brushes with. Now we just have to decide what we're going to do for a background. And I have this new Liquitex bronze color, and I thought that would be a nice neutral background to get started with for these magnets. So we're just going to squirt a little bit out on our palette. Grab a decent sized brush, wet it down a little bit, and then we're just going to paint some of this onto this background. I'm not really liking that because, as you can see, it's kind of see-through, and that is not what we're going for. So I'm going to go ahead and rinse the brush. I'm just going to wipe that canvas off so that the wet paint is not on there. It will leave it a little discolored, but we're going to go with something with a little more fuller coverage. So let's go with a nice green. Now that's a little bit of sap green. That will be a lot better coverage. So we're just going to put a coat of sap green on here. Green is always a really good kitchen color. This also may take a couple of coats so that we can get the brush strokes out of it. And that is okay. Let's get them all painted green. I think what we're going to do at this point, get a good coat of green over the whole thing. And then at this point, I think what we're going to do is we're going to wipe them down. And let's see if just staining these boards brings on a nice background. I think it's going to. We just need it to be even. Like that. That way our magnets won't be too dark, but it gives a nice background to put our roosters on. And while we're at this, what I want to do is go ahead and bring some paint around the edges, because they will show when they're on the fridge, and so we want them to appear to be finished. The resin will come down over them and give that a good seal there as well. So we do just want to finish those off, and then we'll wipe off any little bit that we got up here by painting the sides. All right, and then we'll just go ahead and do the other two real quick. There we go, and that will give that a nice finished look to it. And we'll do our third one. The sides are going to appear to be a little bit darker. One, because we're not wiping them off, and two, because it isn't a canvas on the side, it is just a part of the board, and so it's going to soak the paint up a little different. But we're just wanting to make sure that we have a finished look to the side of our magnets when they're done and hung up. All right, so we are just going to let that cure and dry, and then we'll be back for the next step. So we're back, and I did decide to go ahead and do a second coat on these to give them a little bit more of a green color. Now we're going to start our rooster, and I'm going to take white, and I'm just going to kind of draw an outline of each rooster. So the head would be up here and come down. The body comes out around here. The neck is going to come, have the breast of the rooster. Just go ahead and fill him in with a little bit of white, and this is just the basic body of the rooster. And the reason we're going to fill him in white is so that when that dries and we go to add the rest of our colors, it'll have a nice light background to be able to go down on, and that will help our other colors really pop. We are going to bring the little head out here a little bit so that we've got that. And then we're going to put the wattle up here, or the crown up here on top in white, just so that the red will cover much more easily. We still may do a little bit of it with white mixed in to add another layer, and then we'll go ahead and go with the darker red. And then right here, there will be a wattle. So we'll put that down there. And then we'll move on to our next one. And get our head down here for the body. Put the basic shape of our chicken in. Bring that body down and around like this. And fill them in. Now you might notice I'm not putting the legs on. The legs are going to be a darker color as our base, so we don't have to worry about covering the green and getting the colors vibrant. Also, the tail I will end up doing a little bit, a few more coats on there to get it to be more vibrant, but I don't really want to put the white underneath that. Okay, and then we're going to add the little wattle here, because red can be kind of translucent, and so we want to make sure that we have a decent base for him. And then we're just going to do our third rooster here. The head, run down the back here. And bring our neck up a little bit higher. And as you can tell, they will all be similar, but they will all look a little different when we're done because of the hand-painted nature of them. Do want a bit bigger breast on him. Comb up here. Okay, and then a little bit of a wattle right there. All right, so then we're just going to let that dry, and then we'll be on to our next step. So we're back now. Our white paint has dried, and we're going to go ahead and put some color on our rooster. And I think that we are going to do a little bit of a darker blue and cream color with a little bit of the white. So we're going to go ahead and bring this cream color down through here. I got a little too much water on my brush. So I'm just going to soak that up a little bit. Dry off my brush. Bring this cream color down through here, up over the head. And down through the body here. You see what I'm doing there? Just down along the breast here. Alright, and while that's still wet, we're going to add some glue down along its breast here, and try to mimic the look of some feathers. Do a little bit of blending with the cream color. A bit more of the blue down along here. And so I'm just kind of alternating a little bit between the blue and the cream to kind of mimic the look of some feathers here. When you're doing the smaller projects like this, it's a little bit harder to see the effect of the feather look. Okay. And then bring some up over the back here, down through here. Do some here. Well, we're going to let it be just a little darker towards the back than we were at the front. And we're going to leave a spot open there because we're going to put a wing in. So I'm going to go ahead and move over to the next one and get that cream put on there. We're just going to go up around the head here. I'm going to put cream all the way back. gonna start adding our blue in and do the same thing. Just kind of bring it down the breast here in the front. And let it mix a little with the cream that's already on there. It's not quite dry. And then we'll add a little bit more of the cream in to get a little bit more of a mix. So just working back and forth between the blue and the cream. And then as we head back here, we want to go ahead and be a little bit fuller in our blue. A bit darker. We'll come back in with some cream. And we're just gonna kind of try to give it a feather look. All right. And bring just a little bit more of that over on this one. This blue down along the bottom here. I kind of missed it. And we want all the white to be covered up with the darker color. So we're going to kind of go down back through there. And then we'll add a little bit more cream in the mix. Just to lighten it up a little. Alright, and then we'll move on to our last one. We're going to go ahead and get our cream up here on our head. We're going to use quite a bit of paint because I didn't clean in between, and we don't want the blue showing up here as much. And we're going to start adding our blue in. Just doing these really short little feather-like strokes. And down here along the bottom, we want it to be a little fuller. With the blue, we can come back in and add in some cream, but we want to start out with a pretty full base of the blue. around the hind end here and across the top. Okay, and then just kind of give those strokes. Leaving an area for the wing. But we do want to make sure that we're getting all of the white covered. And then we can go back in and add some of the tan. Just a little more blue right here by the edge. And then it's okay if right here on the breast is a little bit tanner, but we want that bottom to be blue. So we'll add our tan in. All right, so then we're going to clean our brush, and I'm going to take a little bit of orange and a little bit of this lighter teal blue. And we're going to do our wing, because we want our wing to be differentiated from the rest of our bird. And so we're going to do the teal with a little bit of this orange in there. Try to get those feathers to look more like feathers. A little more of our tan in there. And we're going to go over here. I'm not going to clean my brush, but I am just going to wipe it off really well. And we're going to put the teal in here. And then we're going to go right into our orange. Our orange does not show up real bright, but it mixes in with that teal, and then when we add a little bit of the cream back over the top, we're ending up with kind of a greenish color. And we'll do some more work after that dries to get some more feather look. But I kind of like this kind of bluish teal green that we're getting. And then we'll let it dry so that we don't muddle more. And then we'll do a little bit more cleanup work with them. So into our orange. A bit more. And then into our tan. And just kind of mix it all together. So that we have okay. So we're going to let that dry, and while that dries, we're going to take just a little bit of our orange and we're going to do our beak. Okay, and then we'll do the beak on our last one here. All right. Okay, then I'm going to take our little bit round, longer liner brush, get a little water on it, and I'm gonna grab some of this blue that we started out for our, let's see, for our wings, and we're just gonna start putting the nice tail feathers in here. And we'll put several different colors in the tail feathers here. But we're going to start out with this nice teal. All right, and we'll move on to our next one. And we'll go to our third one. All right, and we're gonna just let those dry. We'll clean our brush really well, and I forgot to grab some red, so let me grab some red down here. Get some red out. And we're gonna go back to our detail brush. And I'm going to take a little bit of white and mix in with that red. I really don't want it to be pink, but I don't want it to be transparent either. And red a lot of times is a transparent color. So we'll start out with it a little pinker, and then we'll move on to the full-fledged red. All right, so while our backs are drying, we're just going to come up here and do the comb. We want to make sure that we cover all of the white. And we will also do the wattle. Now sometimes these wattles come up and they come in and around the eye, and so I think that we will do that as well. On our birds. All right, so move on to the next one and do the comb. Down in here and catch the wattle. And then we'll come up here and go into our head where we're going to put our eye. Now on this one, we did miss a little spot with our orange here on our beak because we've still got some white showing and we don't want that. So I'm just going to touch that up now while we're right there. All right, and then we'll clean our brush again. And we'll do our comb and our wattle on this one. And up in here around the beak where the eye will go. All right, and we'll leave that for the moment. We will go back over that when it dries with a little bit purer red, but we're going to go ahead and let that dry, and we're going to take a little bit of this Magenta color. We're going to add some more tail feathers. So we're going to go back here to bird number 1. And we're just going to go into the tail feathers here and put some of the Magenta color in. And then we're going to go over here to our next bird. and get some more put in there. Okay, and then we want those to dry. So we're going to give these just a little bit of drying time. Actually, we might be able to work on the wings now. Okay, so let's go in with a little bit more of this lighter blue color. And just add some detail. And a little bit of the cream color to break that up. Okay. And we're going to do the same thing to this one. And we'll go in with a little cream color. To break that up and look a little bit like a wing. A little bit like feathers. A little more here on the tip. Okay. And we'll do the same thing with this one. Right. Okay, we're going to let those dry and then we'll be back. Okay, so now that we're a little drier there, what we're going to do is take some actual darker red and go back over our comb and wattle area. We want to do our wattle over here. We skipped it. And up around the eye. Okay. So this full strength red will just make this a lot more vibrant. Do our third one here. So that's making that look a lot more vibrant. And we're going to take a little bit of our white and add into our yellow and mix it up, because that will help our yellow not be so transparent. And we want to take yellow and add, whoa, not that much. I do want quite a bit of paint on, but we want it more of a line here. I'm going to add the yellow into the rooster tail here. So we want the brightness. Okay. Come up. Okay. Uh-oh. Okay, so when you do something like that, you take a baby wipe and you wipe it off real quick. And as long as the paint underneath has dried and cured, then you won't lose any of what is underneath there. So not only is it important to make sure that your layers are dry in between so that your colors aren't muddling if you're not wanting the blended effect, then you also want to make sure that it's dry so that if you make a boo-boo, you can clean it up and not have to start completely over on your painting. Just going to put a quick second coat on this yellow. Even though we added the white, it's still just slightly transparent, and we don't want that. We are going to go back over with other colors that we've used because they'll show up brighter against this yellow. And we'll get some of those colors back in there that we're covering up. And my dog heard something outside. This is where they get to go out the sliding glass doors. So if they hear something and come running. But she just wants to go out and bark, so she doesn't need to. She just heard a kid run by and thinks that she wants to play. All right, so we're going to let those dry. I'm going to take just a little bit more right there. We'll let that dry, and then we'll add some of these other colors in again through our tail. I do want to take just a little bit of this yellow and bring into our wing here. And we're going to, while we're waiting for that to dry, we're going to add our little eye in. Just a little bit out. Clean that off. All right. And this I don't think is got a good enough point for us. So we are going to take this one here, our dagger brush, and we're going to add in our black eye. I'm going to take just a touch of white and put a spot in each eye. Just to give a little light reflect. All right. Okay. We're going to go ahead and let this cure a bit more, and we'll be back. Okay, so now that we've had a little bit of this time to dry, we are going to add our legs. And we're going to take raw umber, put just a little bit out here. Don't need much. And we're going to take our detail brush again, and we're just going to take a couple of legs down. And then we're going to do some feet. Not like that. We are going to do some feet, but that foot looked funny. Alright. So our leg comes down. And they're going to be pretty dark to begin with, then we're going to add some highlights to them so that they're easier to be seen. So on our feet, we're going to put one that comes out that way, one that comes out this way, and then one that comes back. All right. And we're going to do the same thing on this. We're going to have a back one and two front facing ones. All right. And then we're going to move on to our next bird. And chickens have some pretty sturdy legs, so they don't have to be slim and delicate. It can be pretty stocky. Okay. All right, now we're going to take a little bit of our orange, which is pretty dried up, so we're going to get a little more orange out here. And then we're going to add just a touch of our yellow into it. And just a tiny bit of our raw umber. All right, then we're just going to roll this into a point. We're going to put some little highlights on our legs and our feet. Just blot that a little. Okay. And then we're going to put some on our next one. And again, we're just gonna blot that. We're not gonna rub. We're just gonna press down. Blot that out a little bit. When you're working on these small ones, this detail brush, I need to get some, they're called minis or micros? Micros. I need to get some micros because with these little teeny canvases, some of these little details should be done smaller than what I have capability to do them at the moment. So even though the legs are pretty sturdy, the highlights would not necessarily be as big as they are. Okay, so then on each leg, they have the little bit of a leg feather that comes down over. So we want to put those on. And we want to have it be a combination of our cream color and our blue. So that it kind of matches the rest of our chicken. Okay. And a little more blue in that one. There we go. And then we'll put some on this little fella. Blue in there. All right. Maybe just a little more touch of cream. Okay, then we're going to go back to a dagger brush and we're going to add some more color in to our rooster tail. So we want our yellow to show. But we don't want it to be the prominent color. But we wanted it in there because it will help these others show up a little better. We want a little bit fresher paint. And then we're gonna get some more of our, get some fresh Magnesia out here. And bring a bit more of this into our tail. Alrighty, and we'll do our third one here. Okay, then we're going to let those cure really well, and let those cure really well, and then we will put some resin on them to get them all sealed up. We'll have to let the resin set overnight, and then we can put the magnets on tomorrow. We'll be back. We are back. We are going to take some pour on high gloss finish resin, and I'm going to get a glove here. And I'm also going to take off my rings. Okay, so we're going to go ahead. What we're going to do, this is a 1-to-1 ratio. And so what we're going to do is we're going to open, we're going to pour the same amount of hardener as we do the resin. Okay, so we're going to look at these and see how close they are. I think I've got just a tiny bit more resin than I do hardener. There we go. Okay, so what I do when I mix this up is I will take the resin and I mix it into my hardener. And the reason that I do that is because if I have a tiny bit extra hardener, it's not going to harm the project. If I have a little bit more resin than I have hardener, then my project may not get hard. It'll just remain gooey, and I don't want that. And as you can tell, trying to get all of the resin out of the cup, or the hardener if you were going the other direction, is really difficult to do. So I always take my resin into my hardener so that I don't have to worry about having more resin than I have hardener. I know all my hardener is in this cup. And then you're just going to mix it, and you're going to mix it for approximately 3 to 5 minutes, or until it's not cloudy any longer. And you want to try and not like mix it this way, because you want the least amount of bubbles possible. And the more air you mix into it, then the more bubbles you're going to have. So I'm going to just click you off now and continue stirring, and I'll bring you back. Alrighty, so we are back, and normally you would pour it over. I'm going to just brush it on. And the reason that I'm going to brush it on is because I just want a very light coat of it. It is self-leveling, but I want to keep as much of it as possible from going down onto the bottom, because we want to put our magnet there. And when you put a bunch on and you just let it drain down the sides, it will have drips down there. Even if you sit and babysit it and get as much off as you can, you will have drips. So I am just going to brush it on and give it a nice good coating, but not so thick that it should be dripping down the sides. Normally I would wear 2 pairs of gloves when doing this, but I am trying to save on my gloves because they're hard to get right now. But you really want to try to avoid contact with your skin if possible. All right. Now, while I was waiting for it to cure, I did put my initials on them. I don't sign the magnets because they are so small. But I do put my initials. The other thing with not coating the whole thing is that this backer, even though these are boards, on your canvas board, it is actually like an MDF, it's a board. It's like a wood fiber type board. And this appears to be like it is cardboard. And so we want to make sure that it doesn't have enough moisture on it to warp the board part of these. And that's another reason for not letting it just self-level and drip down. So I mixed up a whole bunch more than I need. And you have to work pretty quickly with this stuff. There are products out on the market that give you extended working time. This will start to harden in 10-15 minutes. I like working with Stone Coat because they have a longer open time on much of their product. They have different types of resin. Their countertop resin is definitely a longer open time than anything else that they've got. Their art resin is a little bit shorter. But I can buy this other in town, and I have to order Stone Coat, and I typically don't go through enough of it to warrant buying a gallon. All right, so that is all there is to that. Then we want to just quickly, like I said, cardboard backer, we want to quickly torch it. So any bubbles that have formed, we can pop them. But we don't want to get too involved here with the torch. Because we don't want our, I think I've got enough right there. We don't want our board to catch fire. Because like I said, again, I think that is just cardboard underneath. All right. So we are going to let these sit until tomorrow morning, and at which time we'll be able to put the backers on. They won't be fully cured by then, but they will be cured enough to touch and get the backers put on. The backers are self-adhesive, but we are going to be using a bit of E6000, which is an epoxy glue, just to make sure that we never have a problem with the magnet backers coming off. All right, so it will be a snap for you. It'll be in the morning for me. All right, so it's the next day, and our resin has set up and put a nice hard coating on so that it's got good protection. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to take this magnetic sheet. It comes in an 8x10. It's 26 mils thick, and we are going to cut it, and we are going to attach it to the back of our magnets. Now, it does come with an adhesive strip. You take off the white, it has an adhesive strip, but we are going to reinforce it a bit with some E6000 glue. I've never had this stuff come apart, and so I like to make sure that it's on there really good. Now we're gonna go ahead, and we want to leave just a little bit of a hangover on each side so that it doesn't come out around the bottom of our magnet. So, and then we'll mark it. Now when we mark it, this will not show up on this paper, but it will leave an indentation that we can follow. So we're just gonna press really good and hard so that we have that indentation to follow. Okay, and then in that package, there's a set of little scissors, and you just cut out your magnet. Okay. And then we're going to turn this over, and we're going to put just a dollop of E6000 glue right in the center. And then we're going to take a craft stick and just spread that around. We don't want to go too close to the edges, and it doesn't need to be fully on there because, like I said, the back of the magnet is an adhesive. I just like to make sure that they don't come apart since I'm selling them. And so you just put it on there good and smooth. Don't get real close to the edges so that you don't have product oozing out. And then you just take this white backing off of your magnetic and put the adhesive side down, and just try to get it where you have no edges, where it's centered and there's no edges hanging over, and then press it down really good. Now that E6000 glue, it will take, for it to be fully cured, 72 hours. But because this has the adhesive along with it, you, in say 24, could hang it up and it's not going to go anywhere. All right. So those are our magnets for a refrigerator. And like I said, they are all slightly different because they are hand painted, so none of them are exactly the same. That concludes today's tutorial on how to make a refrigerator magnet with your own artwork. If you don't want to use your own artwork, you can always follow this tutorial, and instead of painting your art on the canvas, you simply take a photo or a pretty paper napkin and Mod Podge it onto the canvas, let that medium completely dry, then follow the tutorial on how to resin and add the magnetic backer. I bought the canvas board from Jerry Artorama, but you can get those at any art supply store. The magnetic strips I got from Amazon. The resin you can get at any hardware store. You can get at Amazon or at art stores. So they're really simple, they're really easy. If you enjoyed this tutorial, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel and share with your friends so that they can get on the fun of making their own refrigerator magnets. And until the next video, you all have a really good day.